watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source. Happy to have you with us today. Appreciate you joining us on this muggy Sunday. It's going to be hot again today. Nasty outside. Perfect opportunity for you to just sit there on the couch with the air conditioner blowing in your face. And we will be blowing plenty of sports news in your face. Let's get started this first segment of our show. Brought to you by Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. How would you like to add 5 to 10% to the market value of your home? That's what Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land does by employing Julie Beeler, an interior designer. What she does is she stages your home before an open house. The results of this are fantastic countrywide, and they are fantastic here in Knoxville with Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land. Just another way that Phil Cobble and his crew are ahead of the game. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at today's headlines. We'll show you these. First off, we'll talk SEC Media Days, which start this week. We've also got the Nike Switch. We weren't here last week. We had the one rerun of the year last week. So we're going to talk about the Nike switchover. Talk about UT's instructions to Nike. Maybe that explains why the Nike stuff was kind of tame. Also, we'll look at more uniform details than you might have seen. We'll ask some questions that you might not have thought of regarding the Nike Switch moving forward. Who are the most important Vols on this year's football team? We'll name 6 of them for you. Everybody's gaga for gray. We'll take a look at the alternate uniforms and Nike's many, many inspirations for that color. Bruce Pearl to Memphis. We'll discuss that. And then finally, did you notice that Nike actually changed the Power Tee? We'll show you how when we break that down, last segment of the show, so stick with us. Want to introduce the panel for today. We have from Sports Radio WNML, I got it right, Josh Ward.
Good job,
with
John.
us. Yes, thank you, Josh. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Right there, Mike Strange, longtime contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel. We appreciate you. Russell Smith making his second appearance here on the big Sports Source program. Russell, of course, with Knox Talk Radio 94.3, The Drive. And then next to you, Chuck Cavaleris, doing some work, Sketcher Sports now. So
yes.
Good deal. All right, Chuck. Summer's over, as I say. It's SEC Media Days. That's the unofficial start of football season. Tennessee probably going to get more attention, more spotlight than it has gotten as a football program in several years. I think there was some interest when Kiffin showed up. There was some interest when Derek Dooley showed up. But you haven't seen the Vols as a dark horse that people are talking about, a competitor in the East that people are talking about. Do you think this bunch is ready for that kind of spotlight? Josh, I'll start with you.
I think so. I think Butch Jones will have a plan of what he's going to say when he goes down there. Most coaches do for media days. But the players that they're taking, Kurt Magid, he's probably ready. It's his 5th year at Tennessee, and all the questions for the first 4 years were, hey, in the future, you guys will probably be good someday. Now Josh Dobbs, I think, will be more than ready to handle all the talks. So, yeah, I think they'll be ready for it this week.
I agree. I mean, this is what they live for. I mean, not going to media day specifically,
Right.
but being hyped and being contenders and being in the spotlight. They're used to it. They live for it. They'll take it and run with it.
All right, guys?
I think they're going to have to be ready because this is the first time in a long time that there have been some legitimate expectations on the Vols. I mean, they've kind of been an afterthought down there the past couple of years, and they're probably going to be picked to finish second in the East, and so it'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
Chuck?
Yeah, the old school thing on this to me is, have you paid the price to be there? Have you earned that right to be there? And with the guys they're taking down there, you think yes. I think the players are more ready for it, or the fans are ready for it, and the expectation's going to get out of hand.
Yeah, I think both of you guys hit on something there, and that is how high do the expectations go coming out of media days? Because one of the things they do with SEC Network now, the ESPN's done it in the past, they have their panel there and they talk constantly about who they like, what they don't like. Everybody's been high on Tennessee and what Butch Jones is doing the last couple of years. I think that this team is going to have a lot of positive pub this week. How much does that ramp up the expectations from the fan base? And does it ramp it up too much?
And yes, I mean,
Yes?
yes, it could. And you should be hyped. What, you got 18 starters returning, and you look at Alabama on offense, they just got 2 on offense. So that's one of the things they'll be talking about is who you have coming back. And by that, you should be high.
And that's not unusual. I mean, you see that everywhere. By August, everybody thinks their school's going to go 10-2. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I just wonder with this team, you haven't really. Well, 6-6 is the best you've done in the regular season. So I just wonder if expectations come out of this thing and if fans keep hearing people say on ESPN, oh, they're a candidate, they're a dark horse. Do you stop saying, well, 7 or 8 would be a nice step forward, and you start saying, well, if it's anything less than 9, well, if it's anything less than 10. Do you think it goes that high this week?
I think fan hopes and expectations will continue to rise over the next several weeks. We're coming off last week at the Elite 11 camp. Josh Dobbs is out there as a camp counselor for some of the top high school quarterbacks, and rave reviews for Dobbs coming out of there. Greg Cosell from NFL Films talking about how incredible Josh Dobbs is. So they'll go down to media days. I think Dobbs will come across as very impressive down there. So a few weeks to wait for it, you get to practice, and expectations will go up even more.
Thoughts? Is expectations going to be too high?
Yeah, I don't know about too high, but they are going to go up. It happens every August. You see the message boards. Boys, I've got a feeling.
Yeah.
I've just got a feeling.
Hey, and somebody will come out with a scenario in which Tennessee can run the table this year.
Well, well, here's the thing. I mean, Russell, it's a little like in politics. You get the post-convention bounce.
Yeah.
I think you get a post-media day bounce, and I think you're going to see a real.
I think so, but you gotta have that reality check. I mean, Vegas has set the over/under for 8 wins. That's a good step in the right direction for a program that's won 6 regular season games, 5, the previous couple of seasons. So, you want to try and keep realistic expectations at the same time.
Josh Dobbs, he has to be one of the stars of the week, doesn't he? Don't you expect him to be one of the 4 or 5 guys that they talk about all week long down there? Because not only has he put on some impressive performances with Iowa, South Carolina, et cetera, but the fact that he's got that class schedule, he's majoring in what he is, he's so well spoken, so carries himself so well. I mean, he carries himself like a 40-year-old. I just anticipate him being kind of one of the stars of SEC media.
Oh, yeah,
days.
and then, John, you also combine that with how few returning starting quarterbacks there are in the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, everything just plays in perfectly with that.
Is it a new story, Josh Dobbs, and how smart he is? I mean, we've heard it here 2 years locally, but from a more national and regional perspective,
I think it will be. The mob down there loves storylines, and that will be the storyline on Josh Dobbs.
Somebody said he's an aerospace engineer. Is that correct?
I'll tell you right now, anybody who's tired of hearing about his classwork and all that stuff, get ready. This fall, it's going to be every week, because it's like remember people hated the Pearl timeline graphic because Tennessee fans saw it every week, but whoever Tennessee was playing, they hadn't seen it, so ESPN puts it back out there. It's going to be the same thing with his course load. I guarantee.
it's a little bit better graphic.
Yeah, really.
It is a much better. That's right. Looks good for the university. All right. When we come back, we haven't had a chance to talk about the Nike launch, the changeover, the uniforms. Relatively tame by Nike standards. We might tell you why when we come back on the Sports Source.
Quality, quick. Trust Fast Frame.